The soldier recording was made possible by organizations working together for people, not profit.
Due to climate-related events, millions of girls lose their access to schools. Events like droughts and floods impact schools directly. Displacements are caused due to some of these events, and because of that, girls are impacted the most. They're the first ones to drop out of schools and then the last ones to return as well. And we know that there is not enough effort put into solving these problems, and oftentimes in these situations, girls are never able to return to their schools. When they are stuck at home, they're more likely to be busy in the household chores. They are also expected to help their family members and less likely to have access to the tools and the facilities to continue their education.
Any girl can change the world if they are provided with the right tools to do so. And for that, we need to educate girls and make sure that they know about the world, that they get skills in actually improving the state of the world. And we also need to encourage girls to actually stand up and raise their voices.
So when girls and women are educated, it helps to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, it helps to build resilience, and it also helps to reduce the existing inequalities that so many women and girls face, in different parts of the world. And also we need more women in the rooms where decisions about our climate and our planet are being made. And to get more women in those leadership places, we need to educate girls and empower them.
The soldier recording was made possible by organizations working together for people, not profit.
There's a really interesting book that was written by a guy named Paul Strassman. And Paul has one of the more interesting jobs on the planet. He's this chief information officer, CIO, of a very large organization called the Pentagon. And they really understand software there. I had a conversation with him not too long ago, and he said the lesson from the Gulf War was that the best software will win the war. And so they're trying to do a lot of work in the software area. He wrote a book, though, before he got this job called The Business Value of Computers. It's rather thick and it's not good bedtime reading, but you can plow through it and there's some incredible stuff in it. And he asked two questions in particular. One was he surveyed a bunch of companies from not very successful all the way up through really successful. And there's somebody taking notes here. And he asked how much they spent on information technology as a percentage of revenues. And he got a very counterintuitive answer, right? You'd think that either the really successful companies would either spend more or less than the not successful companies, depending on your theory. But it was exactly the same. They all spent about 2% of revenues on information technology. And he found this curious, and so he asked another question. How do they spend their money? And he found out that the really successful ones, or actually let's start with the not so successful ones, as success increases and dollars increase, he found out that the not so successful ones spent the majority of their money on management productivity, and the more successful ones spent the majority of their money on operational productivity applications. Right? Now, this was not very pleasant for me to read because I spent the first 10 years of my life on management productivity, which was PCs, right? PCs and Macs never attacked operational productivity. They just attacked management productivity. Why is that? Because you can't go down to your local computer store and buy an app that will help you do stock trading, or will help you run a hospital, or will help you in whatever operational part of your business you want to automate, right? Unless you're a very, very small business, then you could run some accounting packages. But other than that, if you're a medium-sized or large business, these things never attack operational productivity. So we zoom out and we say, how have people attacked operational productivity with information technology? Well, in the 60s, they bought a mainframe and they got some terminals and they went to COBOL programmers and they wrote a few apps. And most of them were kind of backroom apps. And it sort of worked for the very few that could afford to do this. In the 70s, they got a mainframe and some terminals, and they did the same thing. And a few of them got a few mini computers and terminals and tried to do it a little cheaper. In the 80s, nothing changed. Mainframe and terminals, minis and terminals, until maybe about 2 or 3 years ago. What happened 2 or 3 years ago was that the front office started to realize that they needed operational apps so bad that they couldn't depend on the MIS folks. They started taking life into their own hands and sometimes working with the MIS folks to start downsizing and getting some servers and running some industry standard databases like Sybase or Oracle in the servers, and making a little local area network and getting maybe some Sun workstations, and spending about 2 years writing some mission critical operational applications like trading apps for Wall Street. And it kind of worked. And the reason that they needed to do this was because more and more they were discovering that things like new products required a custom operational application. An example, if you're in financial services and you come up with a new product, it's only 3 things. It's an idea, it's a sales force, and it's a custom app to bang on databases to make the product real, to do the mortgage swaps or whatever it is you want to do. Without the app, you don't have a product. And so there's been an increasing buildup of demand from the front parts of corporations to create more and more and more of these operational applications. And I think it's going to get to the point where this becomes fairly clear that this is the next big revolution in desktop computing, is to create these to attack the operational productivity. And as we start to re-engineer the way we do things, to automate a lot of this in custom applications. It sounds a little strange now to most people. It sounds like desktop publishing was really thought. Nobody knew what it was, and we thought it was kind of a strange vertical thing. My guess is it's pretty horizontal. And we're attacking vertical markets now that know they want this. And
particular moment in time where so many things have happened, so many achievements have changed. There have been so many things that have happened within our lifetime. Within my 63 years, there have been so many things that have occurred with all our lifetimes, recent and past. We've seen this, and we've understood these things that happen within a particular social, political context, economic context, a historic context. We've seen these things happen within a period where we thought the planet itself was boundless in its ability to create technology, was boundless in its ability to take resources and use those resources, sometimes inefficiently and ineffectively, but use those resources. But now we live in a moment, in another moment, and another moment that's very critical, because this moment trumps all ideologies. Whether you're Republican, whether you're Democrat, whether you're capitalist, whether you're socialist, or whatever you want to call yourself, wherever you are, this moment trumps all our possibilities. And this is, what is this Mother Earth going to look like? How is it going to stay the more than 6 billion people who live on it now? That is something that we're going to have to talk about. I just come face to face with that in Mozambique. Because on that list of most vulnerable countries to climate change and global warming, there stands Mozambique, as well as 21 other African countries. 22 countries, 40% of the countries on the continent of Africa, on the most vulnerable position. Bishop Tutu said at the climate conference in Copenhagen, if you relegate us to 2%, in degree rise, in the rise in degrees, you'll insinuate Africa. Cities now in Mozambique and other places in the world, not simply in countries, not simply preparing for what do we do about it, what is the plan? Their plan is the inevitable. How do we evacuate? That's real.
In the Republican primaries, every single candidate either denied that climate change is happening, or when you get to the so-called moderates like Jeb Bush and Kasich, they said, well, maybe it's happening, but we shouldn't do anything about it. That's 100% refusal. And this goes down to lower levels, incidentally. Roughly 40% of the population think it can't be a problem because Jesus is coming in another couple of years.
This audio recording was made possible by organizations working together for people, not profit.
When your head is eager and the pain is real, I'll be there when you get away, right behind the wheel. When you're tired of making plans and the rain is real, I'll be there when they get away, on the wheels of steel. How flexible you have to be. Spin around like a wave on the ground. I'll never be here. Don't worry about returning. It might be in the rain, say hello. We got to stop the trouble. Even when we just want to let it go. We stay on it and we turn the show. It's just me and my girl. It's not every day around.
You like my braids, It's 190 degrees right now. In pants, it's 210. Inside the pants, it's 250. You can bake a frozen pizza in my pants.
To the control unit, take it to the Pentagon to investigate. Tell the people to evacuate quickly. We just blow.
This audio recording was made possible by organizations working together for people, not profit.